What's up, good people? Michelle Ndwige here. Welcome to Silk Podcast.
Hamas boy hapa ndo kudonjo isha lock in.
Yo guys, stand up. It's Agan over here.
Tune in to Shallow Messi, laid back vibes, real convos, no filters. Let's kick it.
It's Wilson over here, ready to share your story.
Okay, so greeting from wherever you are, wherever you are watching us from. It is the Silk Podcast, and today we are going to talk about the incident on Butere girls. So, what really happened during the fateful operation? Who can be trusted when the line between the ally and the enemy blurs? And what does this incident reveal about the cost of disobedience and betrayal? So, stick with us as we dissect the incident in the Silk Podcast, the aftermath and the haunting truths buried beneath the silence. This is the Echoes of War, where the butcher flies.
In Kenya, I want us to pass through the comment section in TikTok and know how Kenyans feel about this issue. So there's this Dash boy actor who said, we have our Serafina in Kenya, what is remaining is the movie. Someone says this is impunity of the highest order. You must respect the government of the day. Someone said, this is rare. Adeke said, I don't support this. President must be respected. The other one said the Samaritan. The other one said in Kiswahili. No, the other saying is I love this passion. I love this with the passion. And in Kiswahili they said mtu asiguze comment yangu. So no one should talk about his or her comment. So this issue has been trending actually in Kenya, and I think you guys have seen about that. We've been having many negative and many positive issues, comments. So I've been saying about the positive comments pale penye wana appreciate the Butere girls, students, what they did, where they were saying they were praising the students' courage. You know, the students had the courage, by the way. You know, to just stop doing a play because your director is not there. That is courage. Not everyone can do that. Okay? Not everyone could do that, by the way. So it was something that came from within. That courage of theirs was very within. So they were like, you know, our director is not there, so we are not going to perform, and we won't. And they sang the national anthem, and they went.
Okay, I think we have many people who actually have not yet known what Echoes of War is exactly talking about. So I'm going to share a synopsis just to have an idea of this play. What was it talking about? Why is the government really against it? So the synopsis says like this: there exists a natural balance between respect for the old and care for the young. Those who are old bring experience, while those who are young bring enthusiasm and creative innovation. This is the relationship that weaves together our ever-evolving society. That's the first part of the synopsis. I think there's that part of the relationship between everyone, everything. So then it continues by saying, this play is a hyperbole attempt to illustrate the widening gap between the generations, the old and the young. The artistic context is set in the Royal Velvet Emirates, a fictitious kingdom in the Middle East. In this kingdom, the old have quickly lost trust for the younger generation. The young are agitated by the inflexible strictness of the old. The balance is an inevitable compromise.
But if I remember very well, you see, this play was not bad, by the way, according to me. It was not bad, but the only issue, what I can say, is that this play was like, it was criticizing someone in particular. You see, in the play where they were using Kasongo must go, you know, in the play, that is in the play. Yeah. So you find that it's like they're going against our own president, okay? So they are turning against, this play was politicized, according to some other people. Yeah. Other viewers say that the play was politicized, where they say that it was critic argued that involving political figures like, you know, Cleophas Malala is the one who wrote it, okay? So education and politics are those things that are supposed to interact so much. You know, when you are doing education, you are supposed to be someone who is, let's say, general. If I may say, you know, in education, I'm going to a certain school. That school will have so many tribe people. Okay, we'll have the Kikuyus, the Kambas, the Luyas, the Luos. That's now, let's say, a high school, a national school, even an extra county school. It will be like that. Even some county schools still have people from other counties, other tribes. So you know, when you talk about one person in particular, it's like you are now making education to be, let's say, divergent. People are not coming together now. They are, you know, when we come back to school again, I'll be like, you know, this person is from the Kalenjin, is from Kasongo, so I don't support him. You know, let's say a boy who is a Kalenjin wants to vie for presidency in school, they'll be like, you'll be like Kasongo, you'll be like Ruto, you know. So education must not be politicized. It must be something that we do.
Yeah. That's why I think the actors, the students who are acting the film.
Yeah.
I think both tribes were there.
Yeah.
They were not specific tribes.
Yeah.
But the tribes were mixed, by the way.
But were the Kalenjins in the tribe, according to you?
Okay, like I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, but at one point it's still politicized. Or when this way, you can say it is rule of violation. Or you say the Ministry of Education stated that the play, you know, the Ministry of Education itself said that this play was disqualified. Okay.
Why?
And it was not adhering to the festival's theme. So of national cohesion, and for being directed by a non-teacher, which contravenes the festival regulation. So we find that this thing was already disqualified.
Okay,
The
like
play
whoever
itself.
wrote the script, was he a teacher or
Non-teacher. It was a non-teacher. It was Cleophas Malala, our honorable. We love him. He's a good person, but he's the one who wrote it. So according to the Ministry of Education, they say he was not qualified to do that, so they disqualified the play. But it was. But you see, again, I am being told again, this play was somewhere. It was again passed through somewhere. It was passed through. It was supposed to be played because they were the regionals, and they did that play, and the play was qualified. So my question is that we don't understand what is happening actually. You know, we don't understand what is happening in Kenya. It is very, very sad to see students being tear gassed, by the way. Very sad. That is very sad. Again, it's very sad for students to be criticizing the president at some point. You know, there's that point you can criticize someone, there's that point you cannot criticize.
Okay, like
someone.
for students to do such thing to criticize the president, yeah, there must be something behind the film.
Yeah.
Or the
I think with the Kenyan government where we are now, at times you have to find a way on how to talk.
Yeah.
And with the play, I don't think there's anywhere where the play mentions the president's name. So when someone doesn't mention your name, I don't think you have the right to attack back because they use the word Kasongo. That is not the word, that is not the name, in his certificate, right?
Very right.
So I think these girls, they had all the rights to perform.
Yeah.
They were to be allowed. But because the government feels like maybe the play was poking them,
Yeah.
now they were trying to stop the play. And if, yes, they were poking you, if you know that the play is okay, why should you stop it?
Yeah, very
Because
true.
if you're trying to stop it, then it means the play is communicating a communication that you don't want the citizens to
Yeah,
have.
there's something wrong with the government.
Yeah.
Exactly. If the government were willing.
One of the reason I can say is that let's say if this play, okay, I'm not supporting either side, so not supporting the government or the students. But I'm trying to say that if this play could have not been written by Cleophas Malala or been directed by him, to some point I think it could have been qualified according to them, according to me.
Okay.
You know, because they could not say that it is a politician who wrote it. So there will not be an excuse to disqualify that play or to make that play not be legal or not to be played or to avoid playing that video. So one thing I can say that this thing happened because maybe less of the director, and again let's say the content of the play.
Okay, like
to some point, you know, a content you might be like, you know, this is exactly what has been happening, and if this has been happening to it means they're poking us.
Okay, like is Cleophas Malala a scriptwriter or something like that, or an author?
I think
Ironically, Cleophas Malala, he was a prominent politician in Kenya.
Mhm.
Not even any other country, a politician in Kenya. He's a playwright and he was a senator. So if this is a politician who was directing this, actually the writer himself, I think he was just okay to say whatever.
And ironically, by the way, Cleophas Malala was from UDA, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
Ironically, Cleophas Malala was from the UDA. So, you know, in that video you were saying like, you guys are arresting me. You are sending me DCIs because of because of writing a play. You know, he was laughing by the way. You know, I was like, but this guy, they could just have sent normal police to take the guy and go.
Yeah, maybe the guy was giving out something, so he was trying to communicate something on the play.
The play itself was a saving play to the Kenyan citizens right now.
Yeah.
And I think that is why our honorable president was very tensed.
But again, let me tell you something. From what I know, I think this play could have provoked something in Kenya. You know, let's say the citizens of right now today in Kenya, they're just looking for a small provocation, being provoked, and they go to the road. So that's why, from what I know, the president was trying to prevent that for the citizens from being provoked. You know, the citizens would be like, they listen to that plan, they're like, okay, this means the president is not doing this, this, and this. And then they're like, they go to the road and start singing, chanting, I don't know who must go. But according to me, we should just, you know, we are in 2025. Elections is in 2027. It's not very far. So we can just be patient. If you don't like someone, just be patient. Let's say by 2027, don't vote for him. And it's as simple as that. I don't, you know, the other thing, I don't want our people to die. I don't want our people to share, you know, to die, you know, you are dying and there's still no change. If you are dying and there are changes, that's true. But if you are dying and there are no changes, then that's a problem. I think according to me, you know, you cannot die for nothing by then.
But you say in Kenya, okay, like most of the Gen Zs, yeah, the Gen Zs are known. The Gen Zs are normally on. That say it's said to go on, yeah. The Gen Zs are normally on. So they just only wait for a trigger. They only wait for a trigger. It's like something to ignite them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they can start whatever we call riots. Yeah. And you know when riots are all over, people die. Bad things happen. Yeah. So that's why I think the president decided not to display the film.
But have you seen, you know, by the way, you always look at our country differently. I'm like, look at Traore, you know, I was like, Traore, this guy, he was like, you know, my citizens should not go to outside country to look for jobs. He's creating more jobs. You know, even those prisoners, they're going to farms. I was like, if only every president in Africa would be having the same thoughts, we would have been someone.
Yeah, our president is actually doing a good job.
Our president is doing, I'm not saying he's not doing a good job. I'm not saying, I'm not, even if I'm talking about our president, I'm talking Africa in general. Because, you know, we have that, you know, this colonial, now today's colonialism is indirect, okay? We're not being colonized directly. You know, an outside country may colonize us indirect using the president or the country's head. And they are like, you know, these people are giving us money and this and this. So you find we are being colonized indirect. Our products, not our products, our minerals, our everything are going outside. And when they come back, you find out they're coming back at a higher rate than the rate that we sent them there.
Yeah, but you say now the students, you know, in order for such people like students to agree to act, or to do the script, yeah, they must feel the pressure also. Yeah. There's something wrong in order for such thing to happen. Yeah, because I'm 100% sure whoever wrote the script did not pay any of the students. They were willingly doing it. Yeah.
And again, on my other side, I can let's say I can say this play somehow. I can support it by saying, you know, at some point it's criticizing things in the society. By the way, you know, for us to study the main point of education or learning was to know how to live in the society and how to tackle different issues in the society. Yeah. So one thing I can say, you know, in this play, not just in the play, even when you were in high school, those set books you used to read, they used to talk about things that happen in the society. So I can say at one point this thing was somehow right, but let's not see it as criticizing the president, but as a societal thing, it was right in a point that you see, we must criticize something if something is bad. We cannot comment something that is bad is bad, saying that this thing is good. When something is bad, something is bad. Okay? So you can't say otherwise. What I'm trying to say is that this, in a set book, if you remember, this set book we used to study, where it was talking, was it in Nigeria where those guys, there was no payment to the lecturers, the hospitals had problems, they were being attacked day and night. So this was now the past violence that had happened. People had died and whatever. If you'd seen that set book, I don't remember very well. So if you see that it's a short story, silent song. Yes. When you was that silent song story, it was very nice by the way. It talked about so many things that happen in the society and that are happening even in Kenya, they're happening in so many countries, even in Nigeria they have happened, even in Tanzania, in so many, even in Uganda, every country they're happening there.
Okay, but in Kenya you see when you decide to write whatever is going on, so if it intends to talk about the government, it will not be easily published by the government. But if you try and talk about the past, because we have several books talking about the past, and they are already published, and students are willing to read them. Without anyone following up on whatever is going to happen. But if you decide to write whatever is going on right now, like whatever the government is talking about, whatever the politicians are doing, the dirty work about the politicians, nobody will allow such thing to happen. Because that's the current thing happening.
That is why we need a change. Okay, that's why I say instead of writing, you come out. Okay, and it's not about money, but that is the problem with politics. The problem with politics is one. The moment you come out and start saying, I want us to do this, okay? So the moment you get that seat, I've seen so many young people being given seats, but now instead of developing the places of government, they develop themselves. So I don't know how we can change the mindset of our youth to, if you get a certain seat in the government, don't just sit. Don't develop yourself. You see, there's an issue here. The governor, was it 52 or where? With the governor who has been found with, was it 12 million shillings? Squandering all that money. So if this guy, instead of taking this money to squander it, if he could have taken this money to do something good, our country could be somewhere else. And you cannot always just say it is the president. You should not be just saying the president is bad. The president, not even, start from the MCA. Go to the MP. Go to the senator, go to the governor.
But you see,
until when you reach to the president.
You see what's happening is like, the moment you have a seat, you start focusing on yourself, your family, your home.
Very true.
You start focusing on that, saying that let me focus on myself first, then I'll decide on what to do with the people who gave me this seat. But you see, in the process where you're trying to focus on yourself, you'll forget about the others.
And then you see it is too good. Sin is always good. So something bad is always very, very decorized, it's decorated. You are like, hey, this thing is very good, I'm not doing anything bad. And instead you are doing something bad.
And by the way, the first time I read the book, the first time I had Echoes of War, I thought it was a set book, by the way. To be real, I thought it was a set book maybe given to the students, new set book. So, but then after some few days, I had this. There was an incident in Butere girls, when they were performing. So that's why I decided and went to the internet and tried and searched whatever happened. Then I figured out, it turns out that they were trying to act a script.
Actually, this book, okay, so greeting from wherever you are, wherever you're watching us from. It is the Silk Podcast. And today, we are going to talk about the incident on Butere girls. So, what really happened during the fateful operation? Who can be trusted when the line between the ally and the enemy blurs? And what does this incident reveal about the cost of disobedience and betrayal? So, stick with us as we dissect the incident in the Silk Podcast, the aftermath and the haunting truths buried beneath the silence. This is the Echoes of War, where the butcher flies. Echoes of War it's surprising that it's not a new book actually. This was a redone book. It was redone. It was a book that has been there. It was a play that has been there. Then it was revised. My only problem is because even the characters used, the names, I don't think there's anyone where the president's name is mentioned. We have Mustafa, we have Anifa. The writer used other names. And if you look at how the play is going in direct translation, I don't think you should talk about anything like poking the Kenyan government. But when you go deep, if you look at the play very well, then it portrays a contrast to the Kenyan government landscape. And I think that is where the problem started. So if maybe the Kenyan government just let the play continue and just maybe Butere girls will just reach the levels, perform and they go, I think the problem would have remained with us. Because when they go to the national internationals, I don't think other countries would have understood whatever they were trying to portray. But now the Kenyan government brought this play to the mirror because now it went to stop the play. Actually, we didn't know even Butere girls was to go to nationals with this play.
Very true, even didn't have an idea.
Until they were performing in Nakuru, we never knew. So by doing this, I think the government brought much attention, and right now people are against the government than being against the play. Because if the play is not talking about you, then why should you stop it?
Very true.
And these are kids. You can find a kid there who actually does not have fees. The parent maybe is sick. She doesn't know what she will eat. She's feeling the pressure from the parent. She's feeling the pressure at school. So with the brain of the Generation Z, as we say it in Kenya right now, she has that pressure, and when she sees this play, that this play is the only thing I can use to communicate to my president. This is the play I can use to communicate to my governor, my MCA, my MP. She will be devoted in doing this. And when she's trying to do this and she reaches a point and you try to stop her, I think now you're giving her the view of, this is what we do.
Very true.
And it is very bad when you're using force on a high school girl. This is not even a man, this is a girl. And you're using force, you're using the policemen, you're harassing the director, you're harassing the news reporters, the news searchers, the news collectors, all of them were harassed. So the question is, why are you trying to stop the play? If the play, you really believe you're okay, you're a president, you're doing your thing, your government is okay, why are you trying to stop this play?
Well, I can say that, this play, the main thing was stopped because of the one word, Kasong must go. Those are 3 words actually. So these 3 words are the things that made this play to be stopped. If they could have used any other name, do the other thing, by the way, let me tell you something. This play could have not be stopped. But the moment they just mentioned Kasongo, from the General Z, right now, we know that when you just mention Kasongo, you're referring to President Ruto. So that is why I can say this play was stopped mainly because of that name. If that name could have not been there, then let's say the play could have gone on.
Okay, theoretically, according to the law, as much as I know, theoretically, as long as someone has not mentioned your name, the law does not say that you've been threatened. You have not been threatened in any way. Kasongo is not his name. We all know that. Kasongo is not his name. And when you go to the court, they can win that against you. Because you'll be asked, what's your name? Is it Kasongo? No, Kasongo is not the name. Then what if that Kasongo they're using is another thing that you're trying to say? Why are you feeling like you're being poked? You're making yourself become like suspicious. You're becoming suspicious by yourself. It's like you're trapping your own self in your own pit.
Okay, like why do you think the president was given the name Kasongo, by the way?
I don't know.
Actually,
it just came up. We don't know.
And actually, Kasongo came from a song. And that song I've lived for generations, over 30 years right now.
You are telling me that song has been there?
Kasongo has been a song.
Yeah, it has been there.
From our fathers.
Oh, yeah. That's a rumba song.
So tell me, why is it that from back then when, let me say the government was young, you are not talking about that song. Then when now you are in power, you want to talk about that name that was mentioned in that song, you're claiming that you're being poked. Why?
You see, the people who gave him that name using, they used to start to sing that to him. Even in churches, even in rallies when he went, they will be like, Kasongo, like the girl was like, okay, they put him there, his name, and then they put down Kasongo. So they were like, okay, so this guy is, I'm the Kasongo, okay? And even Trump was like, why are you calling your president Kasongo? I will come here, no. I think you have seen that video. I don't know if it's true.
And I think our Kenyan government has really put themselves on the headlines to all the countries right now, because
very true.
In Kenya we have really taken the attention. We've been everywhere. The headlines are everywhere. We are doing this, we are doing that, we are doing that. Actually, we are the first country that we actually attacked the parliament. That one has never happened.
And after we did that, in another country there,
Bangladesh now went
and tried to.
they actually got into the state house, removed the leader. They even slept on the bed. So I think it's getting to a point that youths have now decided that, hey, we can stop this. Because when you can't do whatever you want, then why should you be there? That is the question that this play is also asking. So the government was tense because the play was inciting, the play was going against the government. And I don't think someone can go against you when you're doing the right thing.
Maybe the one thing I just know is that I don't want to criticize anyone, say the government or anything. What I just want to say is that, as a human being, you should strive to do something that is good or something that is right. You cannot be in power and then you're like 14 billion is missing, 12 million is missing, 30 billion is missing, 40. I'm like, yo, what is not happening? The money you are using for 3 months is the money that a previous president used for his whole term. I'm like, yo, what is not happening? So it's like, we should, if you are taking out much money, you should put in again much money. If you cut down a tree, one tree, plant 3.
Yeah.
So if at least I'm a governor and I decide to squander 1 billion, I must make sure there's somewhere 2 billion or 3 billion is coming to cover up there. Okay? So that's what I'm trying to say, that like, even if you're taking out much money, make sure there's something coming in. Don't just make sure that I'm squandering money and there's no, we will find that by 2030, instead of being a second world country, we're now being one of the poorest countries in the world. So we're like, what is not happening? Okay? Because right now, in East Africa, I think we are number 1, right? If I'm not wrong. We're number 1. So we must maintain that and go to East Africa and be number 2. Maybe they are behind South Africa. South Africa, they are somehow advanced. So we can be number 3, therefore. I have no problem with that. But now, instead of in East Africa, we're number 1. Instead of being number 1 in 2030, we are number 3. You are like, what's not happening?
I just think like the government, there are some things that when the citizens notice about the government, you can just turn the whole generation into war.
Yeah.
Okay, like there's something that when the citizens know about the government, I'm not saying they're either good or they're either dirty. I don't know about it, but there's some specific things that when a citizen notice, not just a citizen, but the whole citizens notice in government, it can turn the country into war.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But sincerely speaking, me, I'm scared. I'm always scared of the government.
Yeah, the government have plans. Yeah, the government have plans, by the way. The good plans.
Yeah.
That's why you maybe some large amount of money can go missing. Yeah. So you'll be asking yourself, yo, we had this money, where did the money go? Maybe the government is trying to invest on something else. Yeah.
Okay, I can't deny the idea of investing on something else, but as much as you're investing, even if it's a farm, when a farm takes loan and it's investing, you have to make sure that this investment that you're making is going to pay back the loan that you're taking. I don't see the point of our government adding on to loans when we are not paying anything back. This is the problem, and this is where the problem has started. The economy has gone so high that it's not favoring even anyone. The economy is only favoring those who can. Those who can't and those who are maybe a middle class, they really struggle much. And when now they see that this money is getting squandered, this money got lost, they are driven. And for our government, a lot of people have tried to talk. the generation Z have tried to go for meetings with the government, but nothing is done. And when they notice that you have the power, it's either you're taken or maybe you join them. That is what they do. So now tell me, if maybe you have a voice, you wanted to talk to the government. When you talk to the government, the next thing you'll see, maybe you've been handed a seat.
Yeah, but I even heard they would give Mama Mboga a seat. And several meetings were done. I even think there was an online meeting with the president and the Gen Zs. Yeah. But nothing changed.
Tell me up to date what has been done.
Wait, then my question is this, when our honorable president, we must have respect to him.
Yeah.
When our honorable president was campaigning, he said that the Mama Mboga, the hustler, the person of Boda Boda, he is there, he's going to take the seat for them. He's going to represent them. He's going to give even some of them seats. We say, Mama Mboga doesn't have, let's say, she does not have much experience in politics, we know. But if this president was, let's say, he was serious with what he wanted to say, he could have taken, let's say, 5 or 10 Mama Mbogas from each county, 5 or 10 Boda Bodas from each county, and taking them to a training session. I think you get me. If you give someone training session about something, and then you give them a job, this person, if they are 10, then these people go to develop their own counties. So you are now diverging the economy, and they're making it to be favorable to everybody. I've heard 10. These 10 to go each of them to go and help the other 10. So you're like, you're making the world a better place. But if you're now you think of yourself and your own family and your friends, so you're like, if this person, if someone just talks anything about you, he is either removed from his seat or her seat, or some of them die, some of them are abducted, some of them, are given seats to keep quiet, to shut up. So you shut them up in different cases. So what I'm trying to say is that we should be fair by the end of this world. We should know that there is God, we should respect God, and we should also do what God wants us to do, by the way. So from me, I just think in this world we should be fair and we should do good things. So our president is not bad. Obviously not everything he does is bad. Not everything he does is bad. But he is a human being and is to error. Yeah. So he should try and correct some mistakes. You don't run away from mistakes.
Nobody's perfect.
Yeah, nobody's perfect.
Not even the president is perfect.
Yeah.
We all have our downfall. Yeah. The good side and the bad side of us.
It's not like we are criticizing the Kenyan government.
Yeah.
Don't get us wrong.
We are not.
But I think on my side, sincerely speaking, whatever the government did to those girls was a no.
Yeah.
I think maybe the government would have maybe called the director side, the owner of the play, because these girls are just a vessel. They're just being used.
Yeah, maybe make a change on top. Yeah.
And even putting that aside, these girls are trying to raise the name of their school, because the more you progress in these festivals, you are trying to sell out the brand of your school.
But why will they take the principal and put her to a day school in, I don't know, is it Wajir?
These are the questions that we're trying to ask ourselves, because the government is now making us become suspicious, because we are like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? What did Honorable Cleophas Malala do? What was the wrong? By just writing a play, what was the wrong? Maybe you would have taken him aside, talked to him, cancelled the play without the Kenyan citizens knowing, rather than going and making a drama
public
in front of everyone, in front of the kids. These kids have parents back at home. And we know how the government right now is. You're putting that mother who is struggling to educate this girl, you're making her become very stressed. So the question is, this play, what was the main reason? What's the problem between the play Echoes of War and the government? Why do you think the government is so driven to stop this play? To the extent, some of the girls, we don't even know how they, what the government does. Then later, they are found. They're like, why are you driven to this extent?
Yeah.
These police officers actually, they can't be blamed.
And do you remember that lady, the journalist, was hit by a tear gas canister at her back? I was like, now it has reached to this.
Yes. These are
we
people
should
who are
regard
trying
life to our journalists, by the way.
These are people who actually, I really appreciate journalists because these people take a lot of risks. These people do a lot of work. And when you do this to them, without any excuse that can explain, I don't think the government is putting us at a conspicuous area of view, because this person has come to collect the news. This is a school that is now at a national level. There is a play that should be known by people, because a lot of people would want to know. This is a venue that is going to carry a lot of people from different places, and surprisingly, some of the actors, some of the directors, some of the playwrights, they come here to take people who would maybe I want to take this girl, put her in this field. I want to take. So you denied this girl this opportunity because of your selfish interest. And I think this is very bad. Why are you trying to favor your name and leave the other name spoiled? Someone shared with me a certain poem here, and I'd like to share it. And this poem is is parallel to Echoes of War, the play of Butere Girls. So the play says, we are the voices they tried to hush, planted in silence, we rose in a rush. From Chadwick's chalk to courage in flame, we are Butere, remember the name. Feet in the dust but eyes on the sky. When one of us dreams, we all learn to fly. We rise with fire, no trace of fear. Butere girls, our time is near. Gen Z strong, we lead, we steer. Voices loud, the change is here. So if we look at this poem, if we look at it deeply, I think there's a communication that it's trying to pass to actually this poem, if we look at it very well, I don't think we have mentioned the government anywhere. Right? We have not mentioned the government anywhere. But from this, we can say, we of course know the Gen Z. We can see that these Gen Z are trying to portray something. They have been hushed, but they are keeping on. Their flame is still roaring. They are trying to raise their voices. You will not stop us. So if this is a poem that has been derived parallel to Echoes of War, I think there's a problem. Right?
Oh yeah, true.
I think there's a problem somewhere.
But I want to ask myself, why do we, instead of, okay, we have our own authors in Kenya, we have our own people, okay? People who write things, writers, playwriters, everyone, script writers, we have them in Kenya. But we take this one from outside. And when a Kenyan now playwright tries to write, the play is hushed. So I'm like, if you could have read the one from Nigeria, the one that I've been telling you about the silent song one, we were doing it in Kenya. It is being done right now by the Form Force. So I'm like, this silent song, there is a place where it was talking about the Nigerian government and the president and whatsoever. And I was like, okay, this thing was, and it is done in Kenya, but now our Kenyan one, it's being hushed. I was like, no, it's not supposed to work like that. If they can allow us in our books to criticize another government, they should also allow us to just write our own plays, because the plays are not poking anyone. So as long as it's not poking anyone, it's no problem. But if it is poking someone now, that's when I'll be like, oh, it was not good to do that, by the way, because everyone is a human being. Everyone has his or her own faults, so you should not be poking someone directly. Because some people say that the politicians were using the Butere girls students as a vessel to poke the government, according to some people. So what I'm trying to say, if only we could not have just included that name Kasongo, and then they could have now hatched that play, I'm sure I would have been 100% against that. We know Kasongo is from Arumba name and whatever that you have said. But to me, when I hear Kasongo, to you, when you hear Kasongo, what do you think of? Sincerely speaking, what do you think of?
Someone short.
No, when you have Kasongo, no.
I think when you want
Like today in Kenya,
when you want to bring the point of view of asking when you hear Kasongo, what do you think?
Yeah.
I think this question you should ask someone not from Kenya but
Yeah.
has heard the song.
Yeah.
So that you get the innocence of the name. Because when you ask me, we've been forced to know that Kasongo is actually like, but even a small kid nowadays know that
Kasongo is the President Ruto.
Yeah. But when you ask someone else, maybe Congo, they are fan of Rumba. If you ask them what's Kasongo,
They know a
the
difference.
song,
Yeah.
it says this, it says this.
So that is the same thing I'm trying to say. If they could just do away or omit that word, and then if this play now was hatched, now that will be a very 100% criticism of them, saying that this government now they are wrong. I'll be supporting the students saying this government is wrong, because if as long as you put together that name, you make there's someone who has never heard of that song, the person will be like, these people are talking about truth. And you'll be like provoking some Gen Zs and then go back to riots again. Whatsoever things happen. Things happen in Kenya. There's so many things. A small thing in Kenya will give birth to a very big thing. So we are trying to live in peace and harmony because we don't want people to die by the way. We don't want things to happen in a bad manner or a bad way. So it would have been good if they could just use a different character apart from Kasongo, according to me.
From the book itself, there is nowhere a character called Kasongo. From the play itself, there is nowhere a character is called Kasongo.
So they could not have said that.
And from time in millennium, books have been used to pass messages.
Yeah.
Even the fictional, even the movies, they are always used to pass something. So I think if every play, I know in high school, like every play is always used to pass something, to communicate something.
The themes.
Because for the adjudicators to give you a yes to proceed, it means your communication is valid, it's been understood. And if Butere girls went with echoes of war from the county level, the sub-county, the county, the regional, and now they're at the nationals, I think the adjudicators saw it right for it to go to the nationals. And we have a lot of plays that are portrayed, like you were saying, there's that book called A Silent of Song. A Silent of Song has that book. It's a book, it has different stories. So there's that short story called Boy. If you look at Boy is actually a book that is trying to communicate the verge and the difference between the government and the citizens. And if this play has been included in the high schools, the Kenyan high schools, this boy, this girl that is in the high school is going to come out of that school knowing that this is how things are. So why shouldn't you stop that book if it does not has your name? Why should you come and stop this play just because of an intro? At times you just have to use some intro. Of course, you guys are learned. At times, you have to use some words to wake up the audience, to cheer the audience. At times, you have to rhyme with the trend so that at least you keep the audience at a pace. So I think this Kasongo was used to keep the audience at a pace because everyone uses Kasongo must go nowadays.
And it's normal.
It's normal.
Some of them do not mean it.
Yes.
So I think I'll agree with you on that, saying that the Kasongo name might have been used to make the crowd cheerful and active. When they hear Kasongo, they'll be active actually.
Actually, they were very active.
They'll be very active.
Yeah,
so I'm sure to that point, they were there to make the crowd happy. It's a form of entertainment. So they wanted to entertain the crowd according to their perspective. I think that might have been very true. But for us, we don't know the reason behind the name, why they say that, according to us. But we are trying to give out assumptions. I think,
I think if we took it lightly, it will be left at that.
I think no one would have been even talking about it.
Yeah, we have professors, we have scholars, we have writers, we have directors who will tell you that, whatever these girls say, you don't have anything against them. Because most of the time you have to use the trend to capture the audience.
Very true.
If this is the statement that is going to capture the audience, then I have to use it.
Yeah.
Because maybe someone is outside and our play is about to start. I'll use the word. They'll come back. And surprisingly, after coming back, when you read the PDF about the play, there is nowhere our Kenyan government is mentioned as the Kenyan government. We don't have anywhere where the play has been mentioned plainly, like we are talking about the
Kenya
Kenyan
or even
government.
Kasongo, there is nothing. But
Nothing like
yeah.
that.
Like, what I can say is that the government considered the play corrupt, and they thought maybe the play would ignite the Gen Zs, the Generation Z, into starting a riot. That some of the riots have been happening, so they were just afraid of maybe beginning another kind of war, maybe riot.
Yeah.
That's why they stopped the play. They thought the play was corrupt. That's all I can say. Because that's all we can say. Because in order for the government to decide and to stop such kind of play, it means it was corrupt, by the way.
I agree with you, but they were
Is this an immoral corruption or a moral corruption?
Okay, like just in other words, it would have ignited something on the citizens.
According to the government, it could have ignited something.
According to the government.
But from what we know, even not all of us knew about this until when the government stepped in.
That's my point. If this government left the play to stay, personally I would have never known about the play. I only came to know about the play when the government now intervened this play to continue. That is when the government drew attention from everyone else.
Okay, like that's why according to me, I think the government did it when it was late. They tried to stop the play when it was late.
I'm sure if they could have left that play to go on and not interfere, no one could even know. Most of us could not.
Nobody would have noticed, but there would have been something ignited on the on the citizen.
Are you sure with all the population we have in Kenya, everyone was waiting to hear the cause of war?
Okay, like you see right now, there's some of citizens in Kenya that does not know about the war. Like this, the play. Some of the citizens. I'm 100% sure some of them does not know anything about it.
So what I'm trying to tell you is that if some of them even right now they don't know it, what if the government could just have left it? Are you sure those people who don't know it when it's trending, could they have known it?
They would have not only seen Butere girls carrying their trophies.
Their trophy, and then it's done. And then carrying Cleopas Malala there, and then it would have been done.
And I think they brought much attention by how they were trying to get the director of the play, and even the director from the video that leaked. The director was asking, why are you arresting me? Like, where's the problem? You have no evidence that I've mentioned the Kenyan government, and even the president's name is not in that play. He just wrote a play that has reached the national, so why is he being arrested?
But according to me, this guy was writing this thing because he was not, he was writing it, but the word Kasongo was put there just to ignite the crowd, as you said. So according to me, this guy, he may not be poking the government, because he knows by poking the government you'll get this.
This is someone that was in government.
He knows what will happen.
So
I don't think he wanted to provoke the government. He just wanted to make these children be better and win their play. So he just wanted to make sure they win the competition. But now, by trying to make it more entertaining and more advertising, now that is where the problem comes from. They say too much of something, sometimes it's poisonous.
Okay, like the author and the scriptwriter and the government, everyone had his own agenda. To be real, everybody had.
But I think as a scholar, any scholar that is going to watch this, I think from that point of, you do your own translation in every movie, and it is said that for a good writer is a writer who can be interpreted from his or her writing without explaining. So the government did their own interpretation before the writer had explained the interpretation. And I think that was wrong, and it has brought a lot of drama in our country right now. It's actually a hot topic that is still going on. We cannot go into deep still, but maybe later we'll bring in some other episode explaining it when it's a bit calm.
Yeah.
But for now, we are sorry we cannot go deep into that. So we appreciate you being with us in the Silk podcast, talking about this hot topic, the echoes of war, an incident that happened in Butere Girls, Nakuru. And if you'd like to join us next time, maybe you can join us through your comment section. You can share this one. I'm Shalomesi. I'm also a student actually, and I do this with passion. And we thank you for staying with us at Silk Podcasts. Kindly subscribe.
Thank you.